Let's go ahead and get into the age leads versus shared. First of all, as everybody knows, everybody has success working what we call real-time shared internet leads. Some have success, some agents don't. I'll bring out is even if you're having success working real-time internet leads, this could be a nice supplemental system for you to get some extra business. But for age leads, you have no direct competition. And what I mean by that is that obviously when you're working the age lead, you're not trying to want to be first to the phone. Not going to have 2 or 3 or 4 other agents calling instantaneously, whereas the average shared lead is shared between 5 to 9 agents. Second is a little quality of life issue, is that there's no staring at your email inbox all day long. You do really need to strive to be the first when you're trying to work shared internet leads. If you're not first, yeah, you still have a staff. You can still close the deal. But you don't have much of a shot at shared leads if the kind of system that you're using is going to be where you get a lead in your inbox at, let's say, 10 a.m., and you don't even bother getting to it until 2 p.m. Also, if you're in and out of the office, you're always going to be pausing your leads. And when you buy age leads, obviously, no staring at your long. You work the leads when you want to work the leads. You want to work them in the morning, fine, in the afternoon, early evening, it's up to you. It's going to be ironic, which is it's almost the same cost to acquire a client with aged versus shared. It's going to be about $80 on average to acquire a client working aged internet leads, where about the average cost of an aged lead is about $1. It does vary. It can go lower than that depending on volume, and it can go up to about $1.50. What the average is about $1. The average amount of leads that you're going to work to deal for age leads is about 80 leads. Some close 1 out of 50, some close 1 out of 100. You kind of go around the middle, and the average is about 80. So you're going to spend about $80 on average to gain a client. It's about the same with shared internet leads. About $7, $8 a pop. You should be closing about 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 12 internet leads. So it's going to cost about the same amount of money. And you're having difficulty working shared leads, this is going to be a very good system for you. And fourth, on the age lead side of the thing, is that more volume is more chances. Sometimes the low volume kind of gets to agents when they're working internet leads due to your budget. You may, for example, only be able to buy 8 leads a day. That's maybe mail. Well, that's great, but if you work 8 leads a day, kind of what are you doing with the whole rest of your day? You could buy, obviously, 5 times, 6 times that amount working age leads, and you just have a lot more to do for the day, and you have a lot more leads to work. So why do age leads work in the first place? First of all, I've been an agent since 2003. I have many agent friends of mine, hold on here, who have been working age leads successfully for quite a while, and actually, ironically, they really don't like when we run webinars like this. Trust me, there's enough age leads out there. They're not going to run out of age leads. It's almost what I would consider to be not necessarily an industry secret, but it's definitely something that's really not discussed very often, hence the value of webinars like this. So why do they work? First of all, not all leads are worked correctly when they're sold. It really depends on the competition, depends on the zip code, it depends on a lot of factors. Just because a lead was sold to, for example, 6 agents, doesn't mean all 6 agents who are on top of their game are all calling to work that lead. I know I've bought thousands and thousands of internet leads in real time, and I was quite shocked sometimes to have been the only agent to call. Or maybe another agent who called that didn't even remotely have any kind of decent product, any kind of decent script, no really good sales process. It was clear they really didn't know what they were doing. So that's one reason they work. Second, not all people who type in for a quote are ready to purchase right then and there. As we all know, anybody who works real-time leads knows that. Some are. What about the rest? A lot of people will submit for a quote because they want to buy in the future. So now you're going a month out, 2, 3 months out. Now may be the time when they're looking to buy. Some people have already purchased a product that they're no longer happy with. I know I've run into many people like that when I used age leads and worked late age leads, even my own age leads. I get it. Yeah. Well, we bought, ABC, a product from ABC Carrier a couple of months ago, and we already don't like it. Now, next is new products may be available on the market. And the last one is kind of the biggest one, is everybody's situation changes. They may have not had money then. Now you're calling them a couple of months later, all of a sudden they have money. It may be the exact opposite. They may have bought a product that they no longer can afford. They may not want to call back their agent and say, hey, we bought this health plan for $350 a month, and guess what? We can't handle $350 anymore. We bought this life insurance product. We really need to figure out a way to get the premiums down. Now you call, their situation's changed, and you can be there to help them. So that's why age leads work in the first place. It is absolutely a volume game for age leads, and I can't impress upon that enough. For shared, you close about, and you can get away with ordering what I would consider to be a low batch of 20 leads, although I don't personally recommend that. I would more recommend for shared leads in real time about 50. If you really want at closing is one big problem that I always try to impress upon people is just because there's a closing average out there. Let's say it's 1 out of 10. Doesn't necessarily mean if you buy 10 leads, you're going to get one deal. If your closing percentage is 1 out of 10, you may not get 1 out of 10, but you may get 5 out of 50, and there's a big, big difference. For age leads, same holds true. It's a volume game. If you say you're going to close about, let's say, 1 out of 80 leads on average, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you spend $80 and buy 80 age leads that you're guaranteed to get a sale. You may not close 1 out of 80, but you may close 2 out of 160. And again, there is a difference. It's the law of large numbers, as long as obviously you're on your game, which we'll cover in a second here. So I would say if you're going to get age leads, you would not want an order smaller than 100 leads. And I would actually recommend hundreds, anywhere from 300 to 500 to give yourself an honest shot of closing a deal using age leads. So another tip here, and this is a reason that I've seen a lot of agents fail with age leads, is because they're not taking advantage of technology. And this is actually very, very important to work age leads correctly. You're not going to do that well manually dialing. A couple of reasons. First, you're working a couple hundred of these things, and to sit there and manually dial every one of these numbers is going to get very old very fast, and mentally, it's going to get a little bit frustrating, especially when it comes to leaving voicemail. Because as everybody knows, you start trying to leave voicemail after voicemail using a manually dialing system, it's going to be tough. Using an auto dialer or a speed dialer, that's the way to work the aged internet leads, because what you're going to do is just import that list into your dialer. And if you're familiar with how dialers work, I've used dialers for about 4 years. It's a very easy system, especially psychologically. Sit back in your office chair, you start the dialer, it starts cranking away at the numbers. Most dialers have a feature where it will leave a voicemail that you pre-record. So you can say, my name's John Smith from the John Smith Agency. The reason I'm calling you, blah, 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 and leave. But that's done automatically while it continues to dial other numbers. So the only time that you're actually on the phone with somebody is when they answer on the other end, and that's a very easy way to work them. It's going to dial about 100 numbers per hour. It's about the average speed of these auto dialers. So you literally sit back in your office chair. You could actually be doing email on the internet while the dialer is cranking away. And as soon as somebody picks up the phone, the dialer pauses, which means it doesn't dial any more numbers, and you're on. So that's the way to work the leads using the technology. Now, to the good part. Exactly what do you say where it's actually going to turn into sales? And this, again, would be the biggest reason that I've seen agents buy some age leads and then come back to me and say, I didn't have much luck with them. I said, well, what'd you say? What'd you say when somebody picked up the phone? Here's what people generally say that absolutely is not going to work. Hey, John Smith here from John Smith Agency, just checking to see if you're still looking for a quote. That is overwhelmingly the script that I hear, and that script is simply not going to pull really any kind of results for you. You need a reason to call. It needs to be a reason to follow up, and you also need a defined process. So what is that? The reason to call is generally because there's something new in the market, and you're following up with them. I would avoid asking a question. Well, there's two questions you don't want to ask when somebody picks up the phone. The first question that you don't want to ask is, hey, I'm just checking to see whether or not you're still in the market for insurance, or you're still looking for a quote. That's the first kiss of death. The second kiss of death is asking them whether or not they have time. That absolutely is going to kill it. You're going to have a 99.9% percentage of people that are going to say, oh, of course I don't have time right now. Yeah, of course you called me at a bad time. Sure, call me back later on today, call me back later on tomorrow. That's not how this system works. You need to be very direct, and I have a bit of a sample script right now. Sarah, my name is John Smith from the John Smith Agency. The reason I'm following up on your quote request that you previously submitted is to let you know there are two new affordable blah, blah, blah products. Depends on what you're offering. There's age leads for Medicare SUPs, life, health, depends on your product. I'm a health guy, so what I would say is we've got two new health products available in your market, and first of all, is your information still the same? With a question like that, it's not what we call a yes-no question. I'm not asking them a question, ask them whether they have time, where the response is going to be no. I'm not asking them if they're still in the market looking for quotes, where the response is going to be no. Pay attention to what I'm asking them. Is the information that you submitted, is that still correct? And depending on what information you have looking in front of you, you could confirm, for example, their date of birth. You could confirm the date that they put in for the original quote. You could confirm anything. And you're going to get one of two answers. They're going to say, sure, the information is still the same. Or they're going to say, no, actually, some of the information has changed. Right then, you're automatically completely off the topic of whether or not they have time or whether or not they're looking for new quotes. Then based on that, once you've confirmed the information, what you need to go into right then, presentation. Okay, whatever it may be. Let's say you're talking about life. Say, well, let me show you a life product, or let me show you a health product. You already know based on their information that you've already confirmed what they already have or what they already don't have. That's part of the qualification process. So by this point, you know they didn't buy 3 months ago or 4 months ago, so they still don't have an insurance product. Or by this time, you know that, well, they already bought a 10-year term product at this price, or they already bought an individual family health product for this particular price. You'd be surprised right here the amount of people, the number of people I found who didn't buy anything remotely close to what I would consider to be quality. When I was doing health, for example, I would find people that bought medical discount plans, and I would hear things like, oh, yeah, we bought 4 months ago, and we actually got $99 for our whole family of four. So you got $99 for your whole family of four? Do you know what the name of the company was? Oh, yeah, blah, 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 and they rattle off the name of, one of the most popular medical discount plans. Now, this is also very key. This is make it or break it time with whether or not you're going to proceed to getting a deal. Do not ever on what they bought. Don't make them feel bad. There are agents who I've seen who have inadvertently done this. Is if you make them feel stupid for purchasing a not, I guess the most pleasant term I could use would be a not quality product. You're going to take their whole demeanor and you're going to pull it down, and they're not going to want to proceed with you. Okay, I would never say anything to somebody who bought a discount product. Even insinuating something like, "Are you crazy? Why did you buy that?" That's not going to perform for you. Oh my God, if you end up in the hospital, let me tell you about the 5 most horrible things that are going to happen to you. No. What you need to do is you need to just confirm what they bought. Okay, that's fine that you bought this. Let me show you and compare is what you want to get into next. This is, by the way, if they've already purchased a product before, and you can improve their position. Again, I don't want to get off on too many tangents, But you do need to be able to improve their position, especially if you're dealing with products like life insurance. You're talking about things like flipping, churning, things of that nature. You obviously don't want to replace a product just for the sake of replacing a product. That's not ethical. You want to make sure that you're legitimately improving their position. And if you can do so, then the only thing that you want to do is simply say, why don't you let me quickly compare what you have to some other things, and then you can see the difference and choose. I always like to let them get to choose. So then what I would do is put them into a web conference, whatever web conferencing tool you're using. There's a lot of free ones out there. Join Me, Any Meeting, they're all over the place, Macogo. Put them into the web conference, show them the product that you have, compare it to what they have, and then that will lead, of course, right into the sale. Always let them stop you. Okay, and what I mean by that is simply go. If they're on the phone, confirm their information. What did they buy? What didn't they buy? What's their current position right now? Go into a product presentation. Show them what show them what you're offering. If they haven't stopped you, don't stop. A lot of agents are almost waiting for prospects to say something like, "Well, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm not going to do this today. Can't you send me the information and I'll, and call me back in a couple of days?" If that's what you're expecting to hear, you're actually going to structure your presentation so you yourself are the ones who say something like that. And what I mean is, a lot of presentations I've heard, the agent themselves will say something like, "Well, let me show you a couple of plans, and then I'm going to send it to you. I'll send it to you by email. We'll schedule a time to call." And why do we do that? A lot of agents do that because they don't want to be pushy and they don't want to slam somebody. Let me try to debunk that. You are absolutely, positively not slamming anybody by putting them into a legitimate product that improves their situation. That is not slamming somebody. And trust me, everyone knows the application process, whether or not you actually have to schedule a physical appointment to go see somebody or whether or not you're going to be selling online. You're not selling anything online if somebody doesn't want the plan. I mean, you've got to get social. You've got to get, credit card or checking account information. Obviously, they've got to verify the application with health insurance. They actually have to get a link. They have to e-sign. None of that's going to be done unless they want to do it. So don't stop the process. Go all the way through. Let them choose a plan. And once they choose a plan, fine, go into the application process. Or if your methodology is to schedule an appointment with somebody physical, then go ahead and schedule the appointment at that particular time. So, summary here of a couple of mistakes, and then I'm actually going to turn this over to Michael Norris here. Okay, first is buying too few. If you're listening to this and you're intrigued by Age Leads and you think this is something that you want to try, please don't buy 20 or 30 leads. It would be almost as if you were going to buy 2 shared leads, or imagine if you were going to go business to business and only walk into 5 businesses. It's not going to work out for you. You start at least 100 or obviously up from there. Please use technology if you're going to try this. If you're going to buy a couple of 100 Age Leads, don't think that you're going to sit there and manually dial these, especially with leaving voicemails. You really do need to get auto dialer technology. It's cheap. It's about $100, $150. You can contact us if you want some recommendations on auto dialers. Always assume the sale. When somebody picks up the phone, talk about new products in the market, and then buy the information on the lead. Please don't make the mistake of saying something like, "Hey, I'm just checking to see whether or not you still want a quote." You'll burn through 200, 300